Hello everyone, this is Eggsngaming, and in this video I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite first levels in video games. The number one rule for this list is that the first level must be interactive. As much as I love the beginning of Mass Effect 2, and I do, most of it is cutscenes. The only time that there's any player input is in two simple dialogue options, and running to the cockpit to meet with Joker. All the important stuff, however, is in the cutscenes. The first real gameplay doesn't occur until Commander Shepard wakes up, and you learn the basic controls. Pretty standard tutorial from then on. Also, before I start the list, I have two honorable mentions, Mega Man X and Uncharted 2. Now the first level of Mega Man X, the highway level, is pretty much the most perfect first level in the history of video games, but I feel like it's already been covered well enough in other videos. Check out Ego Raptor's Sequelitis video about Mega Man X. He explains everything like pretty much perfectly. Uncharted 2 has a solid beginning as well, but it's a little bit one-dimensional. Our hero Nathan Drake narrowly avoids death by escaping a wrecked train as it hangs off of a cliff. And while this does pull you into the story right away, it's basically just a 2-minute climbing tutorial, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it just isn't good enough for my top 10. Okay, let's get started. Number 10, X-Men 2 Clone Wars for the Sega Genesis. Now for this game, the level itself isn't all that memorable. It's just some ordinary snow level where you kill some bad guys and blow up radioactive explodey things that are there for some reason. However, the way this level starts is something that stuck with me since the first time I played this game back in the 90s. You see, with most Genesis games, you'd turn on the console and you'd see this screen. Then you'd see the Sega logo, which would be altered slightly depending on which game you're playing. Then you'd get to the main menu, select Start Game, and then the game would start from there. However, in X-Men 2, once this screen goes away, the screen goes black for like 1 second and you immediately start playing the game. Think about that. A video game where you start playing before you even get to the main menu, or any other menu for that matter. You just turn on the console and you're like, whoa, I'm already playing. That's awesome. In fact, I'm gonna clock it right now and see how long it takes from the time that I turn on the Genesis to the time that I start playing the game. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Boom. About 7 seconds, maybe 8 seconds. That is crazy. Less than 10 seconds after you press the power button on your console, you are playing the game, and that is fantastic. Number 9, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. In addition to being one of my favorite games of all time, Castlevania Symphony of the Night also has one of the best first levels in any video game. You see, for most of the game, like 99% of it, you play as Alucard, the son of Dracula, as you attempt to stop Dracula from being resurrected once again. However, in the opening level, you don't play as Alucard at all. You play as Richter Belmont at the end of the previous game's storyline as he defeats Dracula. It's kind of like previously on Castlevania. Richter Belmont destroyed Dracula and won the battle. And it was good. Now the boss battle itself is extremely basic by boss battle standards. You fight Dracula the same way you did in the previous games, and then he transforms into this big beast thing and then the background gets all awesome. And the first time I played this, I was like, holy crap, that background is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, it looks like the end of the world. Like, if I lose, I'm gonna fall into that hole or something. Like, it looked awesome. I just like looking at it. And when you kill Dracula, he begins to scream and fade away as the game freeze frames and burns up into a Polaroid thing, and that was... It's just awesome. Like, I've never seen anything like that. And just for old time's sake, let's listen to an excerpt from one of the greatest conversations ever in video games.
Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. Have at you.
Number 8. Dark Souls Undead Asylum. Oh, Dark Souls, the game of endless death and even more endless death after that. Now, many articles have been written about the brilliance of Dark Souls level design in areas like Sen's Fortress and Anor Londo. However, I really think that the first area of the game, Undead Asylum, is absolutely perfect. And I'm gonna tell you why. So you start the game with only a sword hilt for a weapon and you're like, oh, most games start me with a sword. Here I just have a sword hilt. Right away, the game establishes that there are huge monsters out there, and you are a puny little guy. And that's a feeling that stays with you for pretty much the entire game. So you climb a ladder, light the first bonfire of the game, and then open the double doors in front of you, and you see this nice room with lots and lots of pots, and oh my god, that guy is huge. Holy crap. Now, without a proper weapon, you run around in a panic, and you figure, hey, I'll just jump into him. That'll no, that won't work. How about if I use my sword hilt? That'll do the trick. Just 2 damage each swing. Every swing counts. But I can do it. I can do it. No, I can't. Ugh. Okay, so you escape the room by running into the side door, and then you get your shield, you get your weapon, all that good stuff. And then a boulder comes crashing down the stairs, inevitably hitting you if it's the first time you played the game. And then after fighting a few more enemies after that, you come to one of those white doors, and you find yourself standing above the boss. Hey, maybe I can get the drop on him. He probably doesn't even know that. Oh god, he knows I'm here. Oh god, please help. Oh god, oh god. Now this time, you have to actually kill the boss. You can't run away from him. And this battle perfectly encapsulates what Dark Souls is all about. Challenge, but fair challenge. For the first boss in a video game, this guy's no pushover, and you'll have to rely on your wits and good old-fashioned reflexes to win. I also liked fighting this guy as other classes, just to see how they differed. Let's try the warrior class. Yeah, got him. Let's try pyromancer class. Nope, I suck. Let's try hunter class. Got him again. Let's try deprived class. Oh, I got him. I honestly was not expecting to beat him the first time with this class for some reason. Number 7, the hangar level from the original Doom. Now, to be honest, the first level of Doom isn't even close to being a highlight of the game in terms of level design. Now, the real reason I put Doom on this list is because this is pretty much the first time I ever had to navigate 3D space in a video game. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that I was stuck in the first room of this level for like an hour the first time I played this game. And the reason for that is probably because I first played it when I was 8 years old. Oh yes, good old days of being an 8-year-old raised on Doom. The only right way to live. I just kept going up and down these stairs thinking, am I making any progress here? Probably not. Hey, I found a door. Oh, that's where you start. Hey, I found a window that I can't get through. I gotta get over there. And then when I finally saw the path that you're supposed to go down and like in the corner of the room, I'm like, oh, that's where you're supposed to go. I feel dumb. Now, the enemy selection in the first level isn't anything crazy. It's just regular guys and shotgun guys and imps. But this level does establish my favorite thing about classic Doom, and that is secret areas. Now, when you get to this spot, you look at the wall and you think, why is it a different color? That's weird. You try opening it and boom, secret passage, which leads to the area I couldn't get to before. Nice! Essentially, the hangar level from Doom makes this list for nostalgia reasons only. By today's standards, the game looks like a strange hybrid of old pixel graphics and realistic 3D graphics. But trust me, back in the day, it was mind-boggling as an 8-year-old boy. Trust me, it was. Number 6, the dojo level from Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox. Now, this level makes the list for pretty much the same reasons that the Dark Souls Undead Asylum did. The game is hard as hell, and if you can't beat the first level, chances are you're not going to enjoy the rest of the game. However, if you do beat the first level, you will continue to play what is arguably one of the greatest action games of all time. The entire level is probably the most perfect tutorial I've ever seen in a video game. You learn all of main character Ryu's traversal mechanics within the first minute of gameplay. Run up wall, hang off ledge. Wall run, swing on pole, jump from pole. Swing on pole, jump from pole. Run up wall, jump off wall, run up another wall, continue to jump off walls until you get to the top. Just like a true ninja. You will also learn the most important thing about the combat in this game, and that is that you can't simply button mash your way to victory. You have to treat this game like a fighting game and learn combos while also observing enemy patterns and knowing when to dodge. The combat in this game is brutal, fast, smooth, and very satisfying. Now, the learning curve is high, but once you get used to the combat, you'll find that it's super fun and always challenging. Now, this level also has some light exploration and key finding areas, which let you know that the game isn't just about combat, it's got some adventure elements as well. Eventually, you get to the game's first boss, Mirai. Wielding nunchucks and some exceptionally large muscles, he's definitely no pushover, and he remains one of the trickiest first bosses in video game history. This guy will definitely test your skills when it comes to dodging and attacking. Now, just like with the regular enemies, you can't simply spam the attack button. You have to know when to move in and strike, and when to get out of the way. I'm pretty sure that more than half the people who played this game have died numerous times in this fight. How many times can you say that for a first boss? I have no evidence to support that claim. It's just something that I feel like actually happened. Number 5, the Sarah Station from Super Metroid. Super Metroid is the third game in the series, and it opens with a monologue from our heroine Samus Aran, giving us a recap of the main plot points from the first 2 Metroid games. First, she destroys the evil Mother Brain in Metroid 1. Then, as she's about to eradicate the last Metroid in existence at the end of Metroid 2, she spares its life because the baby Metroid thinks Samus is her mother. Aw, how cute. Especially for a nasty floating jellyfish thing with sharp teeth that's probably going to kill you. Samus then brings the Metroid to Sarah's space station for research and learns that the Metroid's powers can be used for, and I quote, the good of civilization. I just love how simple that is. It's like, what specifically is so useful about this thing? I don't know, it's good for civilization, okay? Jeez. Then after leaving the station, Samus discovers that the station is immediately under attack. Now this is where the masterpiece that is Super Metroid begins to make its mark. During the story recap, there's this triumphant theme playing in the background, making you feel good. You're just like, yeah. Then the music instantly goes away, punctuating the sudden shift in tone. When you land in Sarah's Station, you notice something strange, something that you haven't experienced in a Nintendo game before, and that's atmosphere. The lack of music, especially at the time, was very unnerving. I was so used to the Brinstar theme from the NES Metroid, getting me in the mood to kill bad guys, but here, there are no bad guys, and you wander the Sarah's space station and all you hear is ambient noise. You see the bodies of scientists on the floor, the capsule that originally contained the Metroid has shattered, and the Metroid is no longer in sight. You just feel uneasy right from the start. Finally, you find the Metroid, and you instinctively try to grab it. And for a few seconds, you can't. Then Ridley, one of Samus's enemies from the original Metroid, materializes out of nowhere and attempts to kill Samus. After fighting Ridley for a good 30-40 seconds, Ridley flies away, and the self-destruct sequence begins. Oh, that's right. There is a self-destruct sequence at the beginning of this game. At the beginning. That's freaking awesome. Samus escapes the station as it explodes, and she lands on Zebes, or Zebes, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, I always called it Zebes, the same planet where the first Metroid took place. At this point, I was still shook up from what just happened. Up to this point, NES and SNES games were always happy and cheery from the start, but here, not only does the game start off dramatically, it continues as you begin to explore the planet. You find the remains of Mother Brain's lair after having blown it up in the original game, and you get this strange sense of like, it's kind of eerie, it's kind of ghostly, it's kind of like a graveyard, you just feel kind of uneasy, and I don't know, it's hard to explain it. Okay, I know I'm well past the first level of Super Metroid at this point, so I'm kind of rambling, but I just have to gush about one other thing that makes the beginning of this game so cool. After you get the morph ball and head back up the elevator, the statue heads look at you as you ride up the elevator. That is just creepy, and I love it. Number 4, City 17 from Half-Life 2. In keeping with the tradition of the original Half-Life, the first 30 minutes of Half-Life 2 don't feature any combat, but holy crap. The oppressive tone set in City 17, the game's main setting, would make even George Orwell proud. This is a place under full control by the Combine, an alien race that takes humanoid form and wears deformed-looking masks. Leading the Combine is Dr. Breen, a human, the game's main antagonist. As you explore the city, you hear him give his villainous spiel about how the Combine are here to help us, and we should all listen to them and cooperate, and they know what's best for us, and all of that BS. At the same time, you, that's main character Gordon Freeman, are witnessing with your own eyes how bad things really are. The Combine harass the citizens and hold them in contempt. They will push you back and hit you with electric batons if you get too close. If there's a game that does a better job of making you hate the enemies in the game at the beginning, I don't know what it is. Every NPC that you talk to feels real, and you feel yourself instantly immersed in the dystopia that is City 17.
You've got to be damn hungry to wait in line for this crap.
Don't drink the water. They put something in it to make you forget. I don't even remember how I got here.
What are we going to do?
You think of something.
After running away from their gunfire, you run into Alex Vance, a tech-savvy young lady who acts as your sidekick throughout the main campaign. The way they introduce her is so cool. Just watch.
Over here!
Dr. Freeman, I presume.
Half-Life 2 has one of the best opening sequences in all of video games,
That's enough of that.
and it's mandatory for any serious gamer.
That's enough of that.
Number 3, Super Mario Bros. World 1-1. How could I not include the first level of freaking Super Mario Bros.? Every person alive has played this level. Heck, even people who haven't even been born yet have somehow played it. I don't have any evidence to support that claim. Now, just like with the first level of Doom, this is one of those levels that blew our minds the first time that we played it. This is the first time that we heard the iconic Mario 1-1 theme, and the first time we heard all those classic sound effects. Now, at its core, it's a very straightforward level that teaches you the basics of Mario. A mushroom makes you bigger, and when the mushroom goes left off screen, you can't scroll the screen left, and you're like, "Rah." Fire flowers give you fire power, and the star makes you invincible and lets you kill stuff. Yay! Now, if you've never played a Mario game before, that seems like a strange sentence. Anyway, there are two mind-blowing things to discover in this first level. First, there are the green pipes. You get to one, press down, nothing. The next one, aha! I found a secret area, and now I'm at the end of the level. Sweet! Second, the invisible 1-up. The legendary invisible 1-up. You jump around as you're getting used to the controls, and then you're like, what? I just discovered there's an invisible 1-up. And right away you think to yourself, what else is hidden in this world? Naturally, you want to explore everything. If the game's going to give you something hidden right off the bat, you just want to explore everything, and it's awesome. Both of these things, the green pipes and the secret 1-up, are introduced in the first 5 minutes of the game, and they drive home the important thing to remember about the Mario games. There is stuff hidden everywhere. Heck, even in the second level, you can skip the main pipe and walk above the ceiling and find secret warp pipes that lead to later worlds. Oh man, Super Mario Bros. What an overlooked gem. Number 2, the Hydra level from God of War 1. The God of War series, especially God of War 1, 2, and 3, are well known for having amazing first levels. They typically involve fighting a giant boss in some epic fashion while you learn the basics of the gameplay. God of War 1 had the battle against the Hydra, God of War 2 had the battle against the Colossus of Rhodes, and God of War 3 had the big epic battle against Poseidon, which took place on the back of the Titan Gaia. Now, it was really hard to pick between these three, but I'm gonna have to go with the original God of War's Hydra battle. The game begins with a cutscene of main character Kratos attempting to kill himself by jumping off a cliff. You then take control of Kratos as the game goes into a flashback, taking you 2 weeks prior to his jump. Now remember, this was the first game in the franchise, so at this point, we really don't know anything about Kratos at all. After disposing of some easy enemies at the beginning, you wander through the ship and whoa, Hydra! Holy crap, that's a big Hydra. I think it's safe to say that if this were me in real life, I'd probably get eaten instantly by this thing. But since this is Kratos we're talking about, I'll just hack away at him and see what happens. Come on, come on, come on, yeah! I just destroyed that thing, and I'm not even 5 minutes into the game. Sweet! This is such a strong beginning, because like I said, we don't really know Kratos at this point, but we're discovering how strong and invincible he is through the gameplay. Then you do some balance beam walking, and you kill some harpies, and oh, there's another Hydra. Okay. Just gonna keep hacking away, and whoa, God, he's trying to eat me this time. Okay, I was not ready for this. Mash the button, come on. Yeah, got him. See, this right here is something that I've always wanted to do in a video game, and before this game came out, I didn't even realize it was a thing that I wanted to do. Resist being eaten by a giant monster by forcing his jaw open as I'm standing in his mouth. Fantasy complete. After killing this one, you walk over some treacherous looking ground, then do a little block pushing puzzle after this guy gets an arrow in the back of the head, yada yada. And after that, you do some climbing, and you kill dudes by grabbing their feet and pulling them off, which is badass. And then Poseidon, who is actually a good guy in this one, gives you his cool power, which damages nearby enemies and makes you invincible for a few seconds. You think to yourself, that's pretty cool. I might need that at some point. But then, the real battle begins. 2 little Hydras and 1 big one. Now, unlike Dark Souls, this is not a difficult first battle, but that doesn't stop it from being any less epic. You pick away at the little Hydra's health for a short time to stun him, and then you do this. Awesome. Then you do the same thing with the other guy. Awesome again. But then the epic one-on-one battle against the Mother Hydra begins. And you think to yourself, okay, The way I killed the Hydras was pretty cool, but how am I going to kill this thing? At the time, this must have been the largest, most intimidating looking boss I've ever seen in the first level of any video game. Most games' final bosses don't even look this cool. So you wail on him a little bit here and there, and you can also use the ability that Poseidon gave you to get some free hits when the Hydra tries to bite you. Then Kratos starts pulling at the Hydra's head and eventually gets him to smash into the ship's mast. And at this point, I'm thinking, wait a minute. How did that help? How would damaging the Hydra like that possibly even do damage? And again, Kratos smashes the Hydra's head into the ship's mast. You just keep playing along thinking to yourself, this must be the right thing, but how? And then after the third time, the ship's mast breaks off, and you're like, okay, I guess. Then Kratos finally jumps on this thing's face, and I'm thinking, oh, he's just gonna stab him in the head. Great, how original. And then this happens. This whole time, Kratos had this idea for how he was going to kill the Hydra, and you as the player didn't know about it. This establishes Kratos as an ultimate badass, because he does this like it's nothing. But wait, there's more. Turns out this whole time that Kratos is searching for a key that opens the door to the front of the ship. Turns out this guy has it, and he gets eaten by the Hydra. Great. So let's literally run inside the dead Hydra's throat and find this guy.
Thank the gods you came back for me!
I didn't come back for you.
So by now we've established that A, Kratos is a total badass, and also B, he's a total dick. Yep. Before we get to number 1, let's do a quick recap. Number 10, X-Men 2 Clone Wars, The Snow Level. Number 9, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, The Dracula Battle. Number 8, Dark Souls Undead Asylum. Number 7, The Hangar from Doom. Number 6, Ninja Gaiden Dojo. Number 5, Super Metroid Ceres Station. Number 4, Half-Life 2 City 17.
That's enough of that.
Number 3, Super Mario Bros. Level 1-1. And number 2, God of War, the Hydra level. I've played a lot of first levels in video games, probably hundreds of them, but the one level that will probably stay with me the longest is The Village from Resident Evil 4. To put things in perspective, let me describe the Resident Evil series before this game. These games weren't really known for their action. They were known primarily for adventure and puzzle elements and mixing those elements with horror. Finding keys, conserving ammo, and running past zombies were all staples of the old school Resident Evil games. And while I still do enjoy those games, it was time for a change. I was getting tired of the same old Resident Evil, and I think that everyone else was too.
I'd rather starve to death in here than be eaten by one of those undead monsters! Now leave me alone!
Then, in January 2005, Resident Evil 4 came out for the GameCube, and it was like, holy crap. No franchise in history has ever reinvented itself as good as this one. First of all, this village might be the creepiest looking place ever in a video game, at least at that point. The drab, putrid, brownish green color just makes you uneasy from the start. And when you run into your first group of enemies, the game lets you know quick, this ain't like the old Resident Evil. You're gonna have to step up your game. It's challenging from the start, and you can't take that many hits before you die, so you have to really watch what you're doing, giving a sense of high tension from the start. As you walk slowly to the next area, the game decides to throw some curveballs at you without hesitation. First, we have the explosive traps. Those are always fun. Then we have the bear traps. Even more fun. From this point on, I learned a valuable lesson from Resident Evil 4. Always walk slowly to the next area because you have every right to be nervous. When you get to the main village area, Leon uses his binoculars to scout the place. He notices that one of the driver's corpses is on full display, giving you the impression that you probably don't want to go into this village. And then you gain control of Leon again. This, right here, is one of my favorite moments in video game history, and probably the #1 reason why this is the best first level ever. So many things are going through your mind right now. Do I have to go in there? Spoilers, yes you do. How am I going to fight all these villagers with just a handgun? Should I run past them all? The first time I played this game, I was extremely nervous, and with good reason. Once I took refuge in this building, the game showed a chainsaw guy coming after me. That's just perfect. After barricading the windows, you run upstairs and you find a shotgun. You feel powerful, but you keep running because you know that these enemies aren't completely stupid. They climb ladders, they throw things at you, they even flush you out of a nearby tower if you try to take refuge. You just feel helpless. Eventually, you learn that the best tactic is to corner yourself so that they can't surround you. You also learn that blowing an enemy's head off with a shotgun is probably the most satisfying thing that you've ever done, ever. At least I speak for myself. After a good 5 minutes of intense combat, they hear a loud bell and decide to bail on you, and then Leon gives us a classic Resident Evil B-movie quality quote.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
The next area is the farm, where the villagers don't even notice you yet. They're much easier when you fight them one-on-one, but at this point you're still getting used to the controls. You're also still reeling from the high tension of the previous battle, and, if you're like me, you're always expecting a chainsaw guy around the next corner. The final area of the first level begins with villagers trying to kill you with a giant boulder. If there's a game that does a better job of making you feel uneasy and nervous right from the start, I don't know what it is. Well, except for other horror games, but anyway. Then you walk down this creepy tunnel, and you see a villager run away. Huh, that's interesting. The villagers are running away now. Up to this point, they've been hyper-aggressive and coming at me with full force. Now, why are they running away from me? I don't like this. I'm nervous again. Why is this game doing this? And then he starts throwing dynamite at you. Also, the ground is full of more bear traps. At this point, I was like, wow, Shinji Mikami knocked it out of the park with Resident Evil 4. The enemies are throwing dynamite now. Also, they have chainsaws and they throw axes at you. This is a game. This is a really good game. Chapter 1-1 from Resident Evil 4 is the best first level ever in video games, and that concludes the list of the top 10 best first levels in video games ever in history of all time that I've played. I know there's a bunch of really good first levels that I haven't played, so forgive me about that. Also, there's a recent video that Pro Jared did about Sonic Adventure 2 and how great that first level was, so yeah, that didn't make the list. I didn't play that game. But anyway, this is my list. Feel free to leave in your comments your favorite first levels. What'd you think of this list? What would you put on it? What would you not put on it? And until next time, I will see you in the next video. Thank you all for watching.